Wouldn't you be happy if there was a magic word that allowed you to say anything? Actually, in Osaka, Japan, there is a word that can be used to say, well, anything, but that is an exaggeration. This time, I would like to tell you about such a magical word, shiran kedo, which is often used in Osaka. You may have heard this word before for those who are studying Japanese or are interested in Osaka culture. The literal translation means, I don't know, but in Osaka, it is used with more than mere ambiguity. There are many expressions in Japanese that indicate the authenticity of information or softly convey one's opinion. In Osaka, however, the peculiar phrase shiran kedo is used on a daily basis, and its meaning is very unique. In this video, we will explain its meaning and usage, as well as its cultural background, so please watch to the end. First, let's look at the basic meaning of shiran kedo. The superficial meaning is, I don't know, or in other words, I don't know exactly. However, shiran kedo used in Osaka not only reduces the credibility of information, but also has the role of creating a unique softness and humor in conversation. For example, imagine the following situation. A. I heard that new cafe is really popular. B. Really? Why is it so popular? A. I heard it has a reputation for delicious cakes, shiran kedo. As in this example, by using shiran kedo, Mr. A can tell the other person that it's just a rumor, so it's not accurate. By using I don't know, Mr. B can easily continue the conversation by saying, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'll ask him. Furthermore, by using shiran kedo, you can add a little ambiguity to the conversation. This ambiguity has the effect of creating an atmosphere in which it is easy for the other person to tisk, making it an important communication tool in Osaka. Next, let's look at the cultural background and history of shiran kedo. In order to understand shiran kedo, it is very important to know the cultural background of Osaka. Osaka is a city with a culture that places a high value on laughter. In daily conversation, there are many situations where you are expected to enjoy the conversation itself and create laughter, rather than just conveying information. Osaka has been a center of commerce since the Edo period, 1603–1867, and merchants have used humor in their conversations to facilitate communication with others when conducting business. This is how Osaka's unique culture of laughter developed, and as part of this culture, ambiguous expressions such as shiran kedo were born. Considering this background, shiran kedo is not just a word to convey ambiguity. It is an expression used to soften the dialogue with the other party, and is a communication technique used to reduce responsibility and elicit a response. In addition, in post-war Osaka, a comedy culture such as Yoshimoto Kogyo developed. In manzai, comedy duo, and skit, the exchange of bokeh and tsukomi, funny man and straight man, became common, and shiran kedo began to be used by the boki to avoid responsibility for his or her own words. This phrase had the effect of making the tsukomi respond, "Don't you know?" and had the effect of making him react. In Osaka's comedy culture, shiran kedo functions as an important hook for eliciting a tsukomi. Let's look at a scene from a manzai as a concrete example. Boke, I heard that the boss gives out presents to all his employees every month. Tsukomi, what? He's so generous, really? Boke, no, shiran kedo if that's true or not. Tsukomi, you don't know. As in this exchange, by using shiran kedo, but the blabbermouth indicates that the comment is a joke, while at the same time making the tsukomi react to it. This gives the conversation an ochi, punchline, and makes the audience laugh. Shiran kedo functions as an important hook to elicit tsukomi in Osaka's comedy culture. Next, let's look at situations in which shiran kedo is actually used. First, shiran kedo is used in everyday chit-chat and light gossip. Shiran kedo is often used in chit-chat among friends or when conveying information that is not certain. For example, here is a scene. A. I heard that cafe is really popular these days. B. Really? Why is it so popular? A. Apparently they have a new cake menu that's really good, but shiran kedo. In this way, adding shiran kedo to gossip conveys that the information is not credible. This gives a softer impression to the other person and makes it easier for the conversation to proceed smoothly. Next, let's look at how to use this when offering advice or opinions. Shiran kedo is also effective when giving advice that is not intrusive, but rather is intended only as a reference. Here are some examples. A. I think Kyoto would be a good place to go on a trip next weekend. B. Why? A. Because the leaves are at their best and there are fewer people there. Shiran kedo. In this way, by adding shiran kedo when giving advice, you can softly convey your opinion as a reference. This makes the other person feel that he or she is not being forced into a situation, and the conversation proceeds smoothly. Next, let's look at how to use shiran kedo when joking or making jokes. Shiran kedo is also very useful for jokes and light banter. Especially when you are telling an unbelievable or impossible story, you can use shiran kedo to make the other person think you are joking. Let's look at some examples. A. That guy is really stylish, but I heard that all of his clothes are 100 yen ones. Shiran kedo. B. Really? That can't be true. In this example, you are telling a gossip in a joking manner and encouraging the other person to tisk. By using shiran kedo, you convey that the statement is a joke and create an atmosphere in which the other person can take it lightly. Next, let's take a look at another specific example of a comic using shiran kedo in a conversation. A. I heard that movie is really popular, but I don't like it at all. Shiran kedo. B. Really? I might not go see it. A. No, I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's good or not. B. You don't know. As in this exchange, using shiran kedo in the flow of conversation encourages the other person to tisk and gets the conversation going. It can also be used as a story to elicit a response from the other person, thereby shortening the distance between you and the other person. So far, we have seen the basic usage of shiran kedo, its cultural background, and some specific examples. Now, let's take a look at a few things to keep in mind when using this useful phrase. Shiran kedo is a very useful phrase, but there are a few points to keep in mind when using it. First, it should be avoided in formal or business situations. Since shiran kedo is only a casual expression, using it in a formal meeting or business setting may make you seem less credible. For example, if you say, I think the results were good, shiran kedo, in a work report or presentation, it gives the other person the impression that you are irresponsible. Second, do not use it when the other person is speaking seriously. If you use shiran kedo in a serious situation, it may make the other person feel disrespected. For example, if you say, well, that may be one way of thinking, shiran kedo, when you are discussing a problem, the other person will feel that you are not listening seriously. Also, it may be difficult to convey the meaning to people outside of Osaka or to people from other countries. Shiran kedo is an expression unique to Osaka, and its nuances may not be understood in other regions. Therefore, it may be better not to use it if the other person does not understand Osaka dialect, or if you are speaking with someone who is not familiar with Osaka culture. With these caveats in mind, it is important to use shiran kedo in appropriate situations. By doing so, you will be able to make better use of this useful phrase, enjoy your conversation more, and shorten the distance between you and the other person. Now that you have learned about the usage of shiran kedo, its cultural background, and some cautions when using it, let me conclude with a few tips on how to use this phrase to your advantage. First, it is important to choose content that is easy for the other person to task. For example, if you dare to talk about information or gossip that is a bit hard to believe and add shiran kedo, the other person is more likely to ask, "Really?" This makes it easier for the other person to question, "Really?" In this way, the other party is more likely to ask questions such as, "Are you sure? Don't you know?" Next, it is also important to consider the distance between you and the other person. When used with close friends and family members, it is possible to keep the conversation light and pleasant while maintaining a sense of mutual distance. Conversely, be careful not to use it with people you have never met before or in formal situations. When using shiran kedo, it is important to determine how well the other person understands this phrase. Finally, try actually using "I don't know" yourself. By trying it out casually in everyday conversation, you should gradually get a feel for the nuances and usage. If you ever have a chance to visit Japan, especially Osaka, please try using shiran kedo with local people and enjoy conversation. You will probably be surprised to hear them say, "Oh, I know that," and the conversation will surely start from there. Shiran kedo.